We're back. Today in Variant Edition, we talked to Mel Kalo from Boom Studios. Take a look at the Boom Studios wrapped Chevy that you can see at the New York Comic Con. Plus, we got reviews of Moon Knight, Walking Dead, Thor, Men of Wrath, and Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. And a look at the series Trees by Warren Ellis. And all that's coming up right now. Hi, I'm Lewis, and welcome to Variant Edition, your source of comic book news and culture. This weekend is the New York Comic Con, and it's set to basically take over all of New York City, expanding to 4 full days, and now with the New York Comic Con Super Week spreading beyond the confines of the Jacob Javits Center. We'll be there, and we'll try to cover as much as we can, and plan to introduce at least one new face to the Variant Edition family. And as part of the week-long promotion and celebration, Mel Kalo from Boom Studios was touring around the area with the Boom Studios wrapped Chevy car, and we caught up with him at Little Shop of Comics.
Hi everyone out there listening to Variant Edition. My name is Mel Kalo from Boom Studios. I'm here at a Little Shop of Comics. Today is Saturday, October 4th. We're here visiting with the Uber Boom car, which is skinned with various graphics from different titles that Boom Studios and its imprints publish. We're really good friends here with Steve and Lena Olson, so we thank them for being accommodating hosts. And I'm happy to stop by with the car to spread the Boom Studios love and to spread the good word about New York Comic Con and the Uber promotion they have going on from now until the end of the show. So basically, if you're in Manhattan, you can call up a Uber car. You open your Uber app, type in the promo code Chevy NYCC 14, and then select Comic Car, and you can either get one of 9 different cars that are skinned with different cool graphics from exhibitors who are exhibiting at New York Comic Con, including the Boom Studios car. Featured on the car are graphics from such Boom Studios titles as Lumberjanes, Bee and Puppy Cat, The Woods, Sirens, and some of our licensed titles like Adventure Time, Regular Show, Sons of Anarchy, and the newest one, Sleepy Hollow. New York Comic Con is like the San Diego Comic Con of the East Coast, and it's fast becoming, I believe, either the second largest, if not already the second largest comic book convention in North America, attendance-wise. For Boom Studios to be a part of New York Comic Con is really important for us. You're right, the multimedia guests definitely are a really great attraction to get in the casual fans or even fans who are not familiar with comics as they are. But once they're in the door, that's our job, to draw them to the booth, get them familiar with our books, our different line of titles. We have a very wide variety of books that we publish at Boom that appeals to almost every reader. Sure, come for the Sleepy Hollow cast. That's great. But do you know we published a Sleepy Hollow comic? Try that out. Come for the Adventure Time voice cast. After that, try out our Adventure Time comics. And once you get into the world of comics, there's a plethora of really great shops like this one, a Little Shop of Comics, that you can try and see that there are various modes of entertainment and pop culture outside of the different multimedia properties that you see at a typical Comic-Con like New York. So we invite you to come and see us at the New York Comic Con, booth number 1344. And of course, for all your Boom Studios needs, head to www.boom-studios.com.
New York Comic Con is really expanding, and like Mel said, it's pretty much the East Coast version of the San Diego Comic Con. But while the event and spectacle grows, let's not forget about the comics. Speaking of which, here's Kevin with our first review.
So first up today is Moon Knight number 8. Now, if you've watched the show before, you know that we're fans of Moon Knight. We're big fans of Warren Ellis. He only did the first 6 issues, and I was very upset, very concerned. First issue by Brian Wood was issue number 7. Not bad. Issue number 8, okay, I'm convinced. This is continuing on in the direction that Warren Ellis set this book up. And basically the direction of, this is Marvel Universe's Batman, but a little crazier. Issue 8, there is a hostage situation in a very famous New York high-rise building, and it's one of those things that cannot happen. Something bad cannot happen. There's a guy with explosives, and somehow Moon Knight, because the police still trust him as Mr. Knight, let him take the first stab at solving the problem. And he does so, and does so very economically, does so very well. Now, the art by Greg Smallwood is in a similar vein from the previous art by Declan Shalvey. So the tone of the book, it's a nice continuation from the first 6 issues. And while I was worried that Brian Wood might not be the best choice, I think he's actually the best choice for this book. Moon Knight, as he was reestablished by Warren Ellis, has a lot of toys. He's very technical. And in this issue, it just proves that he's continuing on with that. He's got these little drones, these little scarab drone things that are really, really cool. The point that I want to make is Warren Ellis has his own style of telling stories. And so does Brian Wood. And given Brian Wood's past in telling unconventionally styled stories, but using the comic book medium, and you'll see by looking at some of these pages where it looks like we're watching something unfolding on television, or it feels a lot more like a movie than it does a comic. And so that's why I think that Brian Wood is a really good choice. He's a master of making comics mimic other medium. And all my doubts were erased by this issue. Last issue was pretty good. This issue... So Moon Knight is definitely the Marvel Universe answer to Batman, and I love that they're doing that. He's got lots of toys, he's very technical, he's a detective, but he's doing this all in the means of having multiple personalities, and each personality sort of has his own mode of pursuing the problem. And it looks like at the end of this issue, next issue, we're really going to have to address that whole thing with the multiple personalities, because some of the threads that were, laid out there by Ellis are definitely being picked up and pulled on, and it looks like it's really going to come to a head next issue.
Another book dealing with the massive fallout of Marvel's original sin event is Bucky Barnes' The Winter Soldier. After we learned the secret history of Nick Fury being the man on the wall, protecting our world from threats for God knows how long, we saw that a successor would be needed, whether it was a welcome choice or not, is something that's shown to us in the very first few pages of this issue. Bucky is still trying to understand and get comfortable with his new role and purpose in the Marvel Universe. All this while trying to recruit a familiar face to help with his new job. One of the things that really stands out to me greatly in this issue is the art by Marco Rudy. It's very intricate and tells a story in itself, and takes a little getting used to, but it sets a great spy tone for the book. And Alice Cott, the writer, gives us the reader a great sense of Bucky's character and his state of mind with his newly appointed role in life. And we also get a nice cameo by one of Bucky's old partners from his Invaders days, and a last page surprise from someone I'm sure we all thought was dead or given a new role after the events of Original Sin. Or is it really him? Lots of planet hopping, laser shooting, and mysterious action to be had in this book, and I'm very intrigued to see how this affects the rest of the Marvel Universe.
So we haven't done a review of Walking Dead for a very long time on Variant Edition. And I'm going to try to do Eddie and Nick proud by tackling this. Probably won't do as good a review as they did, but here we go. Walking Dead number 132, a couple issues after the all-out war story that ran this summer. Again, Robert Kirkman, Charlie Adler, just knocking it out of the park with every issue. This is one of those where everything kind of comes to a head issues, okay? So, in the past, we had a new group join after an indeterminate amount of time, after the all-out war storyline. And, Magna and a bunch of people in her group, they finally decide, okay, we're going to find out what's wrong. There's no way things can be this good, this perfect. It's putting a nice flip on everything that Rick always had to do whenever he came into a new group. It was like, oh, this seems really great. We're in this new town. Everything's great. And then all of a sudden it starts falling apart. Well, now Rick is the status quo, and you've got this new group of people coming in, and it's like, there's no way that everything is this perfect. There's got to be something shady going on in the background. So they take Andrea hostage and basically say, okay, fine, you're going to tell us what we really need to know. And she basically says, okay, fine, but if you hurt me, you're all going to die. And yeah, knowing Andrea, not really concerned that she's in that much trouble. She's not worried. She's kind of letting them do their thing. The biggest thing is a nice, quiet moment that Rick, Carl, and Maggie have. And it's one of those things where it kind of sets the new status quo, so we know that something bad's going to happen. They sit down and they watch the sunset. And Carl even says, oh my God, you're watching the sunset? This is so boring. And it's like, exactly. Isn't it great? That just means something bad's going to happen. I mean, this is Kirkman. Come on. And a couple pages later, it happens. Now, I don't want to give too much away in this next part, because as I was reading it, I had this realization, because something really big happens, and it's related to, if you've been reading the book, the dead whispering and talking. And it sounded like, the ramblings of one of those guys who barely got out alive. Well, something happens, and I literally stopped reading it and said, oh my God, I can't believe that he's doing this. Oh God. A couple pages later, it's like, why did I doubt Kirkman? Oh my God, this is a cool direction he hasn't gone in before, and lets him get even darker in this book. And if we've seen how dark he's gone before, I can't wait to see where this goes. So again, I don't want to spoil it too much because it's a nice reveal. And it's... Why did I doubt Kirkman? That's all I got to say. This is amazing. Walking Dead continues to impress. It's one of those things where after 132 issues, it should not be this good. And if anything, it just gets better and better. And if there is an issue where there's a bit of a lull, it's because it's setting things up, because you want to set those dominoes up. So when you knock them down, it has a lot of impact. And I imagine the next couple issues are going to be really impactful.
Now, for those of you who are completely over the reboot and relaunch and super ultra mega crossover event-filled extravaganza that is Marvel Comics, then you'll want to pick up Men of Wrath by Jason Aaron and industry veteran Ron Garney. Now, this book is under the Marvel Icon imprint, which grants creators a lot more leeway and room to strut their creative stuff and give us, the reader, a breath of fresh air story-wise. Men of Wrath is a story built on a backdrop of blood, rivalry, and dirty jobs. Solid illustration by Ron Garney, who's been dialing up the grit and blood on this book, and Jason Aaron, who's really able to cut loose and give us a dark, gritty book in the essence of all his work that he did on Scalped. Here we have the story of an aged and withered hitman who's wrapping up a job and reflecting on being given some bad news earlier in the issue. As the story continues, you're filled in on the history of the main character and the space that he occupies in this world. A new job is being offered to Mr. Wrath with a catch. The target looks to be his own son. This is a great read with your plot, some quick backstory, and quickly being thrown a curveball all in one issue. I'm expecting things to get very hairy real quickly in this book and lots of twists and turns, so make sure you do yourself a favor, pick up this book, pick up a copy for your friend, and prepare for a bloody dark journey.
So instead of just review one issue, I'm actually going to review the first 5 issues of Trees by Warren Ellis. Didn't get a chance to review this when it first started, and now that we're back in, we're going to take a look at it. Now, obviously, you know that we're pretty big fans of Warren Ellis on the show, so we're not going to hide that fact, and try not to be biased by it either. So Trees is by Warren Ellis and Jason Howard, and the art on this book is great, and not kind of what I was expecting from Jason Howard, and it's just amazing. A different style than he's used in the past, and it works really, really well. Basically, Trees is 10 years after an event took place where these trees, for lack of a better term, have appeared on the Earth. And it did 2 things. 1, it showed that we're not alone in the universe and that there is intelligent life out there. And 2, after 10 years of being here and having no contact with us or any sort of response, basically, they don't even acknowledge that we're here. So there is intelligent life, and they don't care a whit about us. And that's where the book starts, 10 years after that happened. Now, Warren Ellis is a master of building worlds. When I finished the first issue of this book, I could not wait to read more of this, and I had a very firm grasp of what this world was like. And he does it all through character exposition and character conversation, introducing different characters, showing locations. There isn't a whole lot of, oh, here's the world, and it's this, 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 and this. Everything we learn from the characters talking to each other, and it is great. And the world feels so real and so full, okay? Building worlds is something that he's amazing at. So as great as he is at building worlds, he's also really good at making compelling characters. And these are characters that slowly evolve over the course of a few issues. We get kind of like a glimpse, a nugget of who they are the first time they're introduced. Then every time they show up, we learn more and more about them. And at the same time, we learn more and more about the world that they live in. And seeing as though we're seeing snippets of different parts of the world where these trees are landed, we're learning more and more about the story. And it's a cool way to progress the story. Each issue, there's something that happens at a couple of different locations. And as you would expect, you know, Warren Ellis is like one of those guys who can see a few minutes into the future for somehow. I don't know how he does it, but he always is able to put these really cool things in his book that are like super cutting, bleeding edge right now. Throws it in the book. It seems like it's always been around. You know, like the drones and the big dog police things that they had in Rio. This is stuff that's being developed right now. And it looks like it's commonplace in the books. And it's just great. Like I said, he can build worlds. I don't know the exact nature of where the story is going yet, but I can't wait to see where it goes because he makes this look so easy. And it's such a good, cool story that I need to see where it goes. And I hope this, you know, goes for a while because there's some cool ideas that are starting to bubble to the surface after the first 5 issues. And I definitely want to see where it goes.
It's a new era and a new beginning for the God of Thunder. Here we have another one of the many Marvel Now relaunches, but under the Avengers Now imprint. One that is still being written by the great Jason Aaron and illustrated by Russell Dauterman. Now, the events of this book pick up directly after what happened in Original Sin, when Nick Fury whispered something into Thor's ear which caused him to be completely disoriented, lose focus, and ultimately drop the hammer down to the moon and not being able to pick it up. The mighty god of thunder is no longer worthy of his trusty hammer. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a big opportunity for someone to fill in the shoes. We also see the return of Odin after self-imposed exile, who's not on the greatest terms with his wife Freya. There's great debate as to what to do in regards to the whole direction of where Asgard's going, to which is not actually called Asgardia, and what to do about Thor. He's in a very weakened state physically, emotionally, and mentally. Now, for those of you who got to see the second Thor movie, the protagonist from that movie makes an appearance here in this book, also with the aid of the Frost Giants to take out a secret underground water base while in the midst of looking for something quite powerful that supposedly belongs to the Frost Giants. Now, this is a great setup issue. You've got a lot of things going on, some plot that's been picked up from the previous volume of Thor. I mean, honestly, I'm very excited to see where this is going to go because of the last few pages. We're under the impression that it looks like Thor's mother is picking up the hammer, but then again, she could have just given someone else the go-ahead or the enchantment or a spell off page to be able to pick up the hammer for themselves and become the new Thor. Make sure you keep your eyes open for this book to see what happens, because I'm sure it's going to have a lot of ramifications and consequences for other Avengers books and to see what happens to Thor's fate. All right, so that's it for this week's Variant Edition.
Yes, we did say this week. I know we keep saying it over and over and over and over and over again, but we're working on getting to a weekly or bi-weekly schedule.
We're trying to change up the show a little bit, and that may help us hit those goals. So we'll have more on that in the few weeks coming up.
But we need your help. If you enjoy Variant Edition, and you might since you're watching the show, be sure to share this episode on Facebook or on Twitter, and go like us on our Facebook page.
And once again, we'd like to thank A Little Shop of Comics in Scotch Plains for their help too. Once again, they're hooking us up big time and sending us to the New York Comic Con. They are the best comic book store in New Jersey.
And not just in New Jersey.
Not just New Jersey, seriously. They have a great shop and really want to spread their love of comics to the masses. So again, be sure to check them out online, or better yet, in person.
And expect a lot more of Little Shop as we start to shoot episodes from their awesome store.
And like we said last episode, we are looking to expand. If you live in the New York or New Jersey area, let us know. If you don't live near us but still want to contribute, we'll have more info about that very soon.
And remember to send us feedback. Good, bad, ugly, we want it all. So watch, comment, share. Yeah. Then give us feedback. If you're a creator, contact us. We are always, glad to talk about new projects. We want to review new books, and we want to have you on our show for interviews.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this week's episode. We got to get ready for New York Comic Con.
Yeah, we got to, go now.
24 hours to get ready. We'll see you guys there.